Okie dokie, everybody. Welcome back. You're here at the Fox Den with Peter Voss, the Papa Fox, and we are going to continue playing Tyranny by Obsidian Entertainment. When we last left off, we had basically finished up all of the conversations on the top of the spire, and now we're probably going to get into a lot of more conversations with the Archon Tunon, Archon of Justice. So let's be about it. We also took a little bit of exhaustion, so there we go. Recovery time increases every 3 seconds by 1% until next rest.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and see what we can see. Kyrus' standard, an imposing sight for both conquered and unconquered alike. As I mentioned in my previous... Lady Cretius. In my previous episode on Pillars of Eternity, at the moment of recording, I have a bit of a frog in my throat, so if I sound a little odd or a little bit snorvely, that's probably why. Let's talk to this person. This well-dressed older woman stands apart from the milling crowds of nobles. She stares off into the distance, oblivious to your approach until you're right in front of her. "Oh, greetings," she offers a reserved smile. "Anda Lucretius, formerly of Thistleholm. You have the look of someone who belongs here. A fate binder, no doubt?" She nods. Do you need something from me? What are all these nobles doing in Tunon's court?" She smirks and shakes her head. "Trying to look brave, I warrant. But if you crane an ear to any of their conversations, you'll hear a different tale. 3 years since Tunon set up shop in the bastard city. We're still getting used to our new masters and figuring out what we can and can't ask of them." She nods to the assembled nobles. "These are smart, ring-plenty folk. The way they approach Tunon, you'd think they were raised under a tyrant's lash. Some have come to settle a grievance, others to pledge fealty. I've been standing around long enough to know that the adjudicator doesn't care for empty gestures. How has the bastard city fared since the conquest? Kyrus' forces took the city as we expected them to, without mercy or restraint. The Scarlet Chorus spilled more blood than we had to give. We suffered our share of hardships, but it seems that Kyrus wants us alive. It's a more generous outcome than what some of us were led to believe. What brings a noble like yourself to Tunon's court?" A frown cracks her pleasant demeanor. "Like the rest of the frightened inbreds here, I came to see Tunon and ask him to right a wrong. My manor was destroyed during the conquest. I told the adjudicator my woes, but we didn't exactly see eye to eye." "Tell me about yourself." "I'm the daughter of a noble house. We were wealthy enough to live in the city, but our means beyond that were limited. My mother dealt in fish, textiles, and bronze. By the time I inherited, the business was taking care of itself." She sighs. "Of course, all of that has changed. Thistleholm is no more, and my name has none of its former weight. Even if we were still in business, Kyrus' laws would stifle our trading rights." Oh yes, the licenses for trade. Perhaps it's better this way." "What is Thistleholm?" "It was my family's ancestral hall. The oldest stones dated back to the years when the bastard city was naught but a dozen roofs and wagons clustering for warmth. Compared to the houses of the great lords, it was nothing special. Age had softened the wood, and its queer placement in the warehouse district set it apart from the finer grounds where the lords and ladies strolled for amusement. It was a mess, but our mess all the same. I would invite you over for tea, or something stronger even, but it would only disappoint. You'll find naught but a gaping hole." Your home was in the warehouse district?" "You must understand that Thistleholm predated the city districts. My grandmother was also a persistent woman. Merchants storing salted cod and lamprey eggs on the adjoining grounds were no cause for her to budge from her spot." "What happened?" "Collateral damage happened. When the adjudicator cast his judgment on the bastard city, he destroyed the districts of the corrupt merchant kings, their manors, their counting houses, and, yes, their warehouses. Aged, dignified Thistleholm collapsed as a massive sinkhole opened up under her foundation. The bastard city's laws may not have been perfect by Kyrus' standards, but my family followed them with respect, and never took a copper ring more than we deserved. I can't help but feel my estate was not the criminal Tunon had in mind during his sentencing. So what are you going to do next?" "That's the question, isn't it? I appealed to the adjudicator, thinking he would see the reason. After considering my case, for all of 8 seconds, he awarded me a belt of rings and a plot of land out on the outskirts of the city. Tunon told me to build anew and start farming. Farming? Can you believe that? She shakes her head. It's not even that I'm opposed to the labor, but we're in a war. I can't have the Scarlet Chorus breathing down my neck, raiding my crops, and Kyros knows what else. Kyros' law. Serve the masses, not the individual. Justice is done. Whether you think it fair or not, Kyros' laws are made to serve. No, it's not made to serve the masses. It's made to serve what he thinks the masses ought to do. Take your ring. Justice is not done. The Scarlet Chorus are dogs. I suggest you use those rings to higher protection. And isn't that the most backwards cycle of ring trading I ever heard? But it casts a light on something I've been thinking of while I stand here, watching Tunon go about his business. The bastard city. I've come from a long line of smart, ring-savvy merchants, but even I can't reconcile Tunon's justice with Kyros' law. There's something wrong about it all. Maybe Tunon knows something I don't, or maybe... She trails off, shaking her head in doubt. What do you mean? People come here for justice. They usually get a version of it, but it's Tunon's version, not theirs. Half the time, they don't even get what they wanted out of a ruling in their favor. She shakes her head. The deed to a farm, for instance. Not to put my own ignorance on display, but if more people knew how Kyros' laws worked, they might not come here seeking a ruling at all, even a fair one. Tunon is a servant of law, but he is the Overlord's vassal as much as any of us. Sometimes it seems like he uses his position to twist everything in the Empire's favor. We're just pieces on a board, and he can move us wherever the law justifies that we stand. That doesn't sound, well, legal. This is a rather interesting commentary, especially in light of recent events in the United States. I would very much enjoy getting to a conversation about this in the comments if you have anything to think about this. Defines law, that is, it is for us to question. The law is always questionable. What is lawful might not necessarily be right. What is right might not necessarily be what is lawful. Tunon isn't one to change his mind. Unfair as it might seem, the ruling stands. You should know better than to speak ill. I can only endeavor to bring true justice to the tears. At least one of Kyros' agents has their heart in it. I'm still holding out hope that the tears are left standing after this war, and that Kyros' peace makes something great of us. A lady can hope, can't she? Well, farewell, Fatebinder. Be well. Okay. Noble, noble, noble. Any petitioners that displease Tunon would meet their fate in the pits below the court. Oh boy. They have like one of those little drop boxes in Mr. Burns' office. Oh man. Okay, looks like there's nothing around the sides here. Oh, okay, well, here we go.
You call yourselves officers of Kyros' army, but your conduct falls short of my expectations. The court finds your accounts of Vendrien's well lacking, rife with misdirection and fallacy, fouled with baseless accusation.
We're not going to say anything. The shadows beneath Tunon's cloak darken and flare around him. Murmurs of unease erupt in the court. Albertronus. Your Honor, I have relayed the events as I experienced them. You can well imagine my version conflicts with his. She makes a dismissive gesture to the Scarlet Chorus representative. On my honor, and on that of the great general, I would sooner snap my sword than perjure myself before you, Archon. Oh, so you imply that falsehood comes easier to my lips than yours? You're a fool if you believe the Archon of Justice won't see through your lies just because the disfavored think themselves better than an honest gang.
Silence. The contradictions in your statements will be examined, and falsities threshed from truths. If we find you have perjured yourselves, Bled and Mark will see to your fate.
Ooh, basically an assassin. The Archon turns, and you feel his gaze upon you.
Fatebinder, we will start with the matter of the Archons. Graven Ash and the Voices of Nerat have declared war upon each other. In addition to violating Kairos' peace, they have thrown the conquest of the Tears into disarray. By all accounts, these hostilities began shortly after your arrival. Tell us what transpired.
The Voices of Rat may have killed Gravenash's son, or worse. The Archons could not agree on who should lead the siege. The Archons have been of different... let's go with the top one. I don't really feel like lying to Tunon just yet. So let's sow a bit of discord.
Could this be true? The senseless killing of a good Northman, especially the Archon's blood kin, is no small act of war. The Voices of Nerat would answer for this crime.
Clearly the Fatebinder has spent too much time resolving the problems of others. She sees only controversy and intrigue. It's no wonder that we're worse off now than before she arrived. Let's see. And descended into accusations of treachery. It seemed a mutual spat. Let's go with this. This is not totally untrue. The disfavored were more deserving of the honor. Our tactics and training outmatched the Vendrien Guard at every turn. What balderdash! The disfavored couldn't tip over a straw hut if they had a week to strategize. Our howling mob was better equipped to overwhelm the Vendrien Guard. Our recruits were ready to throw themselves at the enemy. If only Ash and his legion would agree to a plan.
The Fatebinder presents testimony. I warned you both against speaking out of turn. Something more than a mere disagreement unraveled this campaign. But I will return to that in time. Let us speak of Ascension Hall. We have heard troubling accounts of your actions, including claims that you worked with the Oathbreakers known as the Vendrien Guard.
Okay. I took the Citadel for Kuros, which we did not do. I'm assuming this is a lie because we did have a choice. Let's try lying to him. I mean, let's try that.
Oh, but there is always a choice. In what realm of reason would this not be the actions of a traitor?
The Archons warred with each other. All would have perished if I did not take matters into my own hands. Let's go with lore. If my actions were not true to Kuros' will, they would not have satisfied the Overlord's edict.
Continue.
The Archon hovers in thoughtful silence. The edict stated that Kuros' servant must claim Ascension Hall. The resolution proves my loyalty. Kuros' edict would not have been resolved if my motivations were untrue. Let's go with that. Technically, that's true if everybody really loves Kuros. For a long while, the adjudicator hovers in silence, shadows trailing from below his robes.
I will consider this testimony at length. The court thanks you for it. Is there anything you wish to add at this time?
I have told you all that I know.
Your testimony is accepted by the court. The statements of our guests raise questions in my mind. There is much about this campaign that has caused me to wonder. A shipment of iron weapons was short on arrival. Where coveted iron is concerned, I don't believe it to be a clerical error. One of my agents recovered this seal in Echo Call. It belongs to a merchant collective. Lethian's Crossing is teeming with their kind. If you would root out treachery, I would advise starting there. Petitioners, leave us. I would have a private audience with the Fatebinder. Ascend and join me. You will find the way opened.
Okay. I wonder if we can actually talk with any of these folk. Oh, we can! Fatebinder. I'm ill at ease in this polished hall, but I admit it's a reprieve from the battlefield and training grounds. If Ash needs me to stay here and represent the interests throughout the occupation, then I'll be up to the task. It can't be worse than our days in Lethian's Crossing. Joking aside, you were generous to grant the disfavored control over the city, but even the Iron Legion needs a break from the front every once in a while. Okay, let's see if we can...
Yes.
Let's see if we can talk to this guy. Fatebinder, you're no stranger to Tunon's court, but I prefer to spend as little time here as possible, in spite of these closed walls. I feel strangely exposed. He glances up at Tunon. If you are ever feeling generous, feel free to send a few healthy oathbreakers to the Voices. We can always use fodder for a front line, only if it doesn't cause too many problems with your new alliance. You'll make our time in the tears an interesting one, won't you? He smiles uncomfortably for an uncomfortably long time. Of course you will. Oh, there we go. Oh, hey, there are other Fatebinders. Let's see if we can talk to them. Fatebinder Nunavall. Okay. I will not pretend to understand the strategic decisions you have made, but they are yours all the same. The Fatebinder of War claps you with that excessive strength on the back, a greeting and a warning, both. Even so, I'm curious about your travels in the Tiers. Come, let us speak freely. Let's see. How are you singled out to become a Fatebinder? Oh, lots of conversations. I cannot speak for other Fatebinders, but I joined the court when I was yet still a boy and impetuous beyond reason. I had been imprisoned with a death sentence for the crime of desecrated corpses. It was nothing so exciting as you're no doubt imagining. I was merely burning corpses that awaited burial. Before the local authority could see me to the gallows, the adjudicator claimed me as a great talent waiting to be realized, needing only to be steered. Why burn the bodies? Corpses piling in the street plagued faster than the filthiest of rats. I was but 10 and a weak fighter. I did what I could for my homeland. Why was it a crime? There was a time when even the Northmen were of superstitious stock, a time before Kyros brought reason to the realms. The people of my city believed that without proper rites I was cheating our fallen warriors of returning to the land. It's a good thing to non-spirit you. There we go. Hey, why not gain favor where we can? As I have said, the adjudicator saw within me something of a rare value, as is true for us all. You, as well, were chosen for our great court, for which I am grateful. As the Fatebinder of War, I rely heavily on your talents. Let's talk about something else. Tunon's masks. They can be rather unsettling, can't they? Each one, even to one such as me. But I can assure you, the innocent need not fear their objective, emotionless gaze. Masks, which would you like to know? Silent face. That Tunon shows us now. Fortunate beyond belief. Patient face for listening. Okay, nifty. Hear all sides. Resolve. The moment he judged and called to ruin half the districts of the bastard city. Oh, okay, nifty. That is no more. Third mask in aeons past, rumored that the face displayed Kyros and was thus destroyed. I wonder if it was actually true. Have you ever seen Tunon change his masks? In the way that you or I would change our raiment, no, not as such. And yet, I have seen the masks shift. They switch without the adjudicator or anyone else, or anyone so much as laying a hand on them. It's not something you can watch unfold. After a time, you merely realize it has already happened. There's work enough in the court that we shouldn't occupy ourselves wondering over the mysteries. Something else? Sure. History. Season warrior rubs a finger against the stubble along his cheek. We're a relatively young order, though we have spanned these past 2 centuries. While the voices of Nerat and Graven Ash need armies to execute their will, Tunon wields but a modest court of vassals. We exist as an extension of the law. There is no place in all of Taratus beyond our judgment. Tell me more about Kyros' armies, our allies. Friends like these. Our work is often self-explanatory. Something else. We already know about that. Let's go ahead and just... Okay, of course, it's the numbers. There we go. The disfavored. Okay. Something else. Claim to spire. So the court's whispers are true. The Fatebinder rubs his fingers along the underside of his chin, pondering his thoughts with great weight. After a moment, he offers you a wistful sort of smile. Someday I would like to witness for myself this tower that has risen above the realms like a blade thrust into the sky. Okay, cool. I would hear of your past victories on war of recent events. Have you not yet tired of my tales, Voss? I do admit I never tire of telling them. The glory of Cyrus's reign. Fallen in years, I would hear it. Recently, study the prowess of southern beastmen. Okay, cool. Very well. Fatebinder Kallio. Okay, cool. One begins to question the intent behind your methods, Voss. I hope you're not wandering a path which cannot return. In spite of my reservations, I'm curious to hear of your travels. What can I do for you? Kallio touches a gentle hand on your shoulder. Has anything happened while I was away? Whispers that Cairn grew disloyal to Gravenash's command. Took up the mantle of investigation near Plains Gate and judging the rumors to be true. Ooh, okay, so she was the one who carried out Cairn's punishment. You seem to know much of my actions. Have you been spying? Do not act so surprised. It's my duty to ensure that those who operate under the Adjudicator's name adhere to the spirit of his law, if not the very letter. And those who don't will be dealt with swiftly and efficiently at the point of Bledenmark's blade. Fatebinder slips a slim dagger from the folds of her purple garb, flipping the weapon almost idly in the air. Okay, cool. Sends me on assignments, disputes. Chorus squatters out of basements. That could be interesting. More about Tunon, Overlord. Concerns about the war. We cannot crush the opposition with such weak efforts. We're too lenient. Peace cannot follow such cruelty. Yes, let's do that. Such is the price of conquest. Okay, it has already begun. Farewell. Let's stop with the last one. Fatebinder Rogalis. Fatebinder, you return. Rogalis looks you up and down with an inscrutable expression. You look as if you have questions for me to untangle. Ask. I'm feeling generous. Some of the past archons. Pestilence. Disliked. Okay, cool. What did you study when you were younger? The Ward of the Court. Perfect recall. Awesome. Sages of the Tier. Okay, what do you think about the other Fatebinders? Fatebinder of War. Keen, brash, and hardy braggart. Fondness for bloodshed. His justice is fair, even if he skews toward rather exacting and uncompromising punishments. Balance. Kallio is the finest among us. Discernment is beyond reproach, and she is perhaps Tunon's favorite. Okay, what's your opinion of me? Whatever it may have been, it's reduced of late. Rogalis pierces you with a severe look. No matter why you've lent your favor to the southern barbarians, it has cast you in darkest suspicions. Be advised, Facebinder. Your objectivity is in question. We will be watching. Something else. Old Walls and Bane. Old Walls. A little about the structures. They predate all historical record. The only one old enough to guess is likely Kyros. Tell me about Bane. The Bane are they're basically monsters. Okay. Discuss something else. Tell me about the tiers. Bastard tier. Okay. The Younger Realms. Free cities. Okay, back to questions. Talk about the sages. There we go. Okay, that's going to be the end of the episode. If you've enjoyed, go ahead and hit that like button or give me some feedback if you prefer. As always, it's great to see you all here at the Fox Den. I hope you come back next time and pull up a chair for some more Tyranny. Alrighty, you take care now. Bye.